Annual rainfall is largely a function of land management. So we could be managing our land in such a way as to increase annual rainfall. When you have more trees, this tends to increase rainfall. When you have more groundwater, this tends to increase rainfall. We continue to deforest, drain, and mow. So when we deforest, we're removing a source of water, we're removing a reservoir of water. When we deforest, we are removing, forests bring rain. There are about 7 different ways I count that forests bring rain. One is that they release a bacteria called aerobacter, which is a precipitation nucleus. Rain comes from 3 kinds of precipitation nuclei. One is a salt, one is an ice crystal, and one is a bacteria. The forests release this bacteria because they want the rain to fall. And so when we deforest, we're removing that thing that triggers rainfall. We're also removing that reservoir of water. So we continue to deforest, drain, and mow. Draining refers to like urban and suburban development. Wherever there are buildings or roads, there is this strong tendency to drain away the water. And you can either drain or you can hydrate. 2 different things. You can't do both at the same time. I suppose you could drain it a little bit and then hydrate, but we don't do that. And we continue to deforest, drain, and mow. So when we mow, we're removing that reservoir of water. When we mow too much, if we let the grass grow and then let some trees and bushes grow up within the grass, then it would condition the soil so that the infiltration rates go up. The soil is more likely to hold the rainfall that does come. We plow dead soils. So when we plow dead soils, tillage is bad for soil. Good soil is usually not tilled soil. Tillage destroys the structure of the soil. So we have to compensate for that with fertilizers and irrigation and herbicides and insecticides. When we plow dead soils, we should be nurturing living soils instead of plowing dead soils. We deplete groundwater. So when we bring the groundwater up from beneath, you would think, oh, that water is way down there. It's not going to affect anything on the surface, but actually it does. When you deplete the groundwater, it tends to make the streams and rivers dry up. When the streams and rivers dry up, then that tends to make it's bad for the trees and plant matter that would otherwise grow alongside the stream. We thereby dehydrate the continent. So all these things we're doing, deforestation, the draining, the mowing, the plowing dead soils, the depleting the groundwater, are all dehydrating the continents. The continents are losing water on a net basis. According to Michael Kravchik, we're losing 760 cubic kilometers each year on a net basis. That's how much fresh water we're losing each year. We can't afford to lose all the fresh water, and we're dehydrating the continents. We lay the groundwork for more drought going forward. So all these things we're doing, we're laying the groundwork for more drought going forward. All this coverage about, yes, there's a record drought, 1,200 years. In 1,200 years in the American West, we have not seen a drought this bad. Yes, that part's true, but they're not talking about anything that could be done to either prevent the drought or to make the land and the landscape and the gardens and the farms and the forests more resilient to drought. We're not talking about that part. There's so much we could do. So we're laying the groundwork for more drought going forward. We need to design our farms and landscapes for hydration, not drainage. When it rains, what happens to the rainfall? What happens to the runoff? Are we capturing the runoff so as to hydrate the ground, or are we sending it into the streams and waterways? Somebody told me what's common sense, and that is, one person's drainage is another person's flood. When we're too quick to drain the rainfall, we're just sending the flood downstream. And guess what? When you send the flood downstream, you have not captured that water. We could be using the water in our landscapes, our farms, our forests. We could be using that water by holding on to it. That's what I mean by designing for hydration, not drainage. We need to grow more and cut less. Abundant opportunity to grow more and cut less. In fact, it's less work to grow more and cut less. It's less work. It's less time, money, expense. We need to nurture healthy soils. There's no bigger reservoir for water than soil. Soil is a huge reservoir for fresh water. In the short run, drought happens to us. Oh, look at us. We're unlucky this year or this decade to be getting so much drought. In the short run, rain fluctuates, and sometimes it rains less in some years than others. So in the short run, drought happens to us. In the long run, we can make drought or we can make rain. It's a choice. Not only can we make rain, but we can make our landscapes hold water. The plants can hold water, the soils can hold water. Small check dams and swales can hold water. It's a choice.